Hi there. My name's Andrew Cotton. I surf big waves, and actually, this is my first talk I've ever done, and I had to leave beautiful Portugal, perfect waves and sunshine to be here. So I hope you enjoy it. So this is me. So I grew up in England, Devon. My parents bought me a surfboard when I was 8, and right there my journey began. I knew exactly what I wanted to be when I was older. I wanted to be a surfer. I was passionate about it, I loved it, and I spent every minute I could in the sea. The trouble was, when I went to leave school, I went to the careers office, and when I said I want to be a surfer, she said, there isn't a box for that. So what I did is I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to surf as much as possible, work as little as possible, and have enough money to travel, to surf waves. So I ended up getting a job in a surfboard factory, and it wasn't glamorous. It was dusty, fumey, but it powered one thing. It enabled me to surf loads and enabled me to travel and gave me the money to travel. And I wasn't doing well financially, but I always had surfboards, and it enabled me to do what I wanted to do. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to surf small waves like this. And this is Kelly Slater in Portugal last week. And you can see that's like super fast, gymnastic. It's just insane surfing. The trouble was I was no good at this sort of surfing. And I wanted to be, and I practiced loads, and I surfed a lot. But whilst traveling to Hawaii, I noticed that I was good at a different sort of surfing, and I was better at this sort of surfing, like putting myself in a position, like overcoming fears and drawing different lines. And it's not as fast and energetic, but it's a different type of surfing. And that's what I realized, that was my strength. And one day we're in Hawaii. One day I was in Hawaii, and I learned this lesson, and it was probably the biggest surf I'd been in at that point. And we was a pack of 40 guys. This wave starts coming, the sky sort of goes grey, and everyone starts paddling like crazy to get over this wave. And I just joined the pack. I just was like, oh my God, I just saw this wave paddling, and I looked across, and there was one guy out of the whole pack of like 40 surfers was paddling exactly opposite. And as I paddled over this wave, I looked around and saw him literally take off. And that there just spoke volumes to me, that everyone went in the pack and one person went the other way, and he got the wave of the day. He got the biggest wave that day. And that's because he didn't follow the pack. So, at about 25, I was getting pressure from my parents. I was seeing my friends buying cars and houses and settling down, and I got persuaded to go back to the careers office. But this time, I ticked the blocks. I was a plumber. I was going to be a plumber. I went back to college to train to be a plumber, and it was 2 years at college. I did an apprenticeship, and I got a job right at the end of it, straight away. I was in there. And
how's surfing in there?
Okay, so I was earning some money now. I had this job. It was really good, and it just made me realize I didn't want to be a weekend surfer. But the only thing I thought about was surfing. The only thing I really wanted to do was this. I quit. I just went in one day, and I was like, I'm done. I'm handing my notice in. My parents got all angry and like, what are you doing? You don't, you can't make a living out of surfing. You're never going to do it. And I just didn't really, my passion wasn't in toilets, like I was more into the ocean. And at this point, one of my friends from Ireland, he was saying, oh, we don't need to go to Hawaii every year. We've got huge waves in Ireland. And these waves get so big that we can't just paddle into these waves. We need to get a jet ski and we're going to tow into them and we're going to surf just ginormous waves. So we got a jet ski. I flew over there, the first big swell. And this is me driving the ski. And it was like, okay, well, how hard can driving a jet ski be and trying to surf a few waves? It's like, it was a lot harder than we thought. So that was the first time I went to Ireland. It didn't go great, but we kept at it. And we did get better. When we started surfing these bigger waves, we got some media attention. I ended up getting a few little sponsors. I became a lifeguard. I was working the summer and then surfing the winter Atlantic in the winter and getting loads of waves. And we ended up getting some really big waves. And this was just like a few years ago, and this is at the same spot. This is me surfing, and these are things that I've dreamed of. And getting barreled as a surfer is like the main thing you want to do, and that's like riding in the center of the wave. And on this wave is like 40 foot, or how big you want to call it. And I can remember dropping into this wave, and it happened so quickly, but in slow motion. And I already knew, before I even let go of the rope, I knew exactly how I was going to surf that wave. I'd done it, visualized it a billion times before, and I was going to go straight to the bottom. I was going to pull up, I was going to go mid-face, and I was going to set my line, get barreled and come out. And I can remember setting my line and pulling in, and I saw the lip come over me like super fast, but in slow-mo, and I can remember looking and going, oh no, I'm going to come out. And then everything went white, and I went almost like weightless, like I was floating. And then an intense force and pressure, and as I fell, the wave just crumbled on me and clamped me. And everything about that makes you want to fight it and wrestle it. But the reality is you just got to go with it. And in those situations, the worst situations, the natural instinct is to fight, but sometimes you just got to go with it, and that's how you deal with big wipeouts like that. Facing fears. So this is quite a big wave. That's me swimming there. So sometimes things don't go to plan, and it's about, this is when the training comes in. This is when the gym time, all the hours surfing, the breath control, but biggest of all, it's like the belief and the mental state of mind and how you go, okay, well, this is horrific, but I trust in myself and I can get through this. And this was when I first started surfing, this was my worst fear, was facing a wave break in front of me. And here I am there, about to face a very big wave, about to land on me. So it brings me on, about 2 years ago, I lost my sponsorship. And it was, at the time I was 33, and I was like, okay, well, I've had a good innings, but it was about, now I've got a family. I've got 2 amazing children and my wife, Katie, and I sat down with Katie at the kitchen table, and I was like, okay, well, it's time to sort of dust off the tools and get back to reality, really. And Katie said to me, what do you want to do? And I just said, without even thinking, I want to surf the biggest waves in the world. And she just said to me, well, you've got to make it happen then. And that was the conversation. It wasn't like, you got to go into the job centre and get a plumbing job, And then a week later, my friend sent me this quote from Muhammad Ali. The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road, long before I dance under those lights. And that inspired us to start a project called Behind the Lines. And it was a project about following my Atlantic big wave mission, but not just me, about the gym sessions, the training, the other characters that we use, the safety equipment, everything. And as we started this project, the Atlantic sort of roared into action, and it happened to be one of like the biggest storm seasons we've ever had in the Atlantic. And as the storms progressed, they just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And on February the 2nd, there was one of the biggest storms I've ever seen, and it was going to hit Portugal. And we were full swing on our project, and obviously we flew straight down there. And we were surfing this morning for about 4 hours. And I'm just going to share, I got one wave in 4 hours, and I'm just going to share with you this wave.
And it's like, type of way it's wedging up, but it was like, wasn't one of those sort of rollers. It definitely like had a kick from the canyon coming sideways, and it was like wedging. Garrett was just like, you want it? And I just looked around and was like, fuck yeah.
So sometimes it's not about getting 50 waves. It's about getting one right wave. And you can apply that to anything you want. Thank you.